So let's look at Zechariah 14, verse 16, Aki. We're going to look where the prophet said that the Gentiles would even have to keep the feast days.
Zechariah 14:16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, and to keep the feast of Sukkot.
Okay, so all the nations have to come to Jerusalem to keep the feast of Sukkot. And in verse 16, it says, everyone that is left of the nations and worship or shall worship the King, Yehoshua HaMashiach, at the mount in Jerusalem, are then thus keeping the feast of Sukkot.
Zechariah 14:17. And it shall be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahweh of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain.
Okay, so whatever Gentile nations do not come before Yahweh will not receive that latter rain, which is the Ruach HaKodesh.
Hallelujah.
Will receive the plagues. And even aside from the latter rain being the Ruach HaKodesh, even if we just do it worldly and say rain, they will not have rain, and they will for their crops, and they will have plagues upon their houses. So as Gentiles, if you do not worship Yah and you do not come to the mount to celebrate Sukkot, you'll cost yourself the Ruach HaKodesh. You'll cost yourself that latter rain needed for the fruit you shall bear, and your house will be under plague.
Zechariah 14:18. And if the family of Mizraim go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith Yahweh will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of Sukkot.
Okay, so if the families of Mizraim, or those that like oppression, don't come before Yahweh, there will be no latter rain, and the plague will consume them, as I was just saying. Read that one more time.
Okay. Zechariah 14:18. And if the family of Mizraim go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague, wherewith Yahweh will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of Sukkot.
He will smite the heathen, Slika, that does not come to keep the feast of Sukkot. Verse 19.
Zechariah 14:19. This shall be the punishment of Mizraim and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of Sukkot.
Okay, so there will be no rain, and there will be plagues will consume the nations that do not come before Yahweh during the Feast of Tabernacles. Right there in the prophets, we're called as Gentiles to come bear witness to Yah and tabernacle with him, dwell with him. After we've separated from the world, heard the warnings, atoned, now it's time to dwell or tabernacle with Yah.